What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the A Show with the Kings Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Justin, here with Meelz. We are crawling to the finish line of the end of this year.
Brother, let me tell you something. I'm exhausted. I don't know if I'm exhausted. Exhausted is not the word. Actually, maybe. I don't know. This year, I can't believe it's over for first thing.
Yeah,
Um, I remember when it just started. Um, and it makes me realize the years are literally just flying by. But this year came with its challenges. But we are here nonetheless. We are here.
yes, sir.
I
Yeah,
think of All
we're
Might.
here.
I think of All Might.
We've made it,
Go ahead.
and I think that we should all be thankful, and that's for listeners, for us as well. Be thankful that we made it. I know a lot of people have gone through, maybe listening to the show, some crazy things, whether it be employment or life or personal stuff and stuff like that. But I think that any day that we wake up and are breathing is a good one. And I'm glad you guys are listening. I'm glad you guys are alive. I'm glad you're alive, Meals. Glad that everybody is at the very least safe and able to do what they love to do. And if you're not, you're on the path to doing those things.
What's one thing that has made you happy recently?
Spending time with my family last week was dope. Went to Disney
Mm,
last week. Actually kind of brightened up my day. And then
that's
I'm
crazy.
looking.
Y'all just have access to Disney. Like,
Oh,
I'm
trust
not,
me,
I can't.
it's not access that comes with a price. The less said about that, the better. I'm just twisting it.
I,
I'm gonna twist it
I'm
into.
trying to think of like what's the New York equivalent to like we just went to Disney this weekend. There's nothing. What, I went to a Mets game. Like, what did I
That's
do this
pretty
weekend?
cool. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. No,
I actually didn't go to a Mets game, but I'm trying to think of like, all right, so that's what you have a theme park where you live. I don't have a theme park where I live.
you don't need a. You don't need a. You don't need a Disney.
This is true. I do live in the greatest city that's ever existed. Yes.
Oh, here we go. Jesus, seriously?
Oh my
Oh, here, I'm
god.
doing the jerk off motion right now. Look at this guy.
Keith
Jeez.
Lee found that out the hard way.
Sheesh. Hey, he
Has
looked
Keith
like he got. Listen, here's the thing: y'all wanted him to come to y'all city, and then y'all complaining when he got to y'all city. Like that's just some New
did
York
we?
shit.
I All right, so here's my take on the Keith Lee thing. Keith Lee New York City thing. We didn't complain necessarily when he came to our city. We complained because he's promoting terrible selections of food as
That
if
y'all
this
tell him to go to. That y'all are
we
telling
I
him to go.
no one you saw every reaction that said, "Who the fuck told you to get a salmon chop?" I have never heard
Some of the
of a
people, he's been very clear about this. Some of the people hit him up. Sometimes they email him, they comment him, they say like he looks at everything. Meals, if you wanted him to go to your little hole in the wall spot with the roaches on the fucking floor, you should have fucking told him.
I should have hit him up, but guess what? You know what? I think he found the spots. First of all, I don't even want to say anything bad about Manhattan because Manhattan is also connected to Harlem and the Heights and Dykeman, which I love. Um, but anything under that, you're in for some interesting eats. And not to
Mhm.
say that everything is necessarily bad per se, but like a salmon, we have never heard of a salmon chopped cheese that's ever existed. I don't even eat chopped cheese, but I'm like, yo, salmon?
Now you know.
Salmon?
Well, listen. Now you know. Now you do.
No, because a New Yorker would never go to a store and say, "Let me get salmon from the deli." That doesn't like the yeah, I don't know. That just wouldn't be a thing. That just
All right.
wouldn't be a thing. But
Y'all
he's
wanted
found all the he's
you
found all
wanted
the
him to
crib.
go. You
Go ahead.
wanted him to go, and now you're mad. He went to the Jamaican spot that had the roadie and shit.
This is well, first of all, Jamaicans don't make roti. That's
Or whatever.
it. when I take you, um, you'll be like, yeah, this ain't, Jamaican food, Caribbean food, Trinidadian food, West Indian food. It's all different types of vibes out here.
Uh-huh.
But you guys have had a great weekend in LA.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
Yo,
the Otani signing. Call it what you want. Call it what you want, my man. We got him.
700 million for 10 years. I was like, that is insane.
Call it what you want.
He's
Call it.
making more than AEW's margins currently.
Oh man, did you see that report? We gotta talk. We gotta bring that report up a little later. But I want to do I want to do a quick office hours. That's not office hours.
Okay.
But I also did have a
Nah.
great weekend. A shout out to my homeboy Terry. Um,
Okay.
spent some time over there, kicking it with him. In NorCal in the Bay. We pretty much just did
Okay.
the same shit we do normally. Just play video games all
Amen.
day. But
Amen. And then the Lakers won the in season championship. Brought that home.
one
You
over
know?
Jordan, motherfucker.
Is that what it is?
One over Jordan. You hear me? Do you feel me?
One more until Jordan, maybe. That's funny as fuck though.
One over Jordan.
Um
But listen, don't let anybody micromanage you in your life. You
mm,
hear what I'm saying? I'm dealing
mm,
right now with a issue with a manager that I have, and it's a particularly trying and emotional and mentally kind of situation that I'm praying, and I hope you guys pray with me that I get out of, hopefully soon. But it's a situation where I think that I don't feel all the time like I am who I am. I am as
mhm.
great as I am. And
Right.
that's a incredibly frustrating situation to have. Having someone who constantly kind of questions what you're doing, questions how you do it, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody likes that. I'm pretty sure people have had that type of situation before.
Of course.
And so being in that and being in the business that I've been in for such a long time, I'm done. I'm tired of that shit, you know? And I went to I raised this to our boss, our direct report, and hopefully something comes out of it. But for anyone that struggled with something like that this year, you struggle with it possibly more when you're at where I'm at, you know, and
Mm,
it's not always visible, you know, whatever's going on. But I think that I got really emotional about it. But something my therapist said was, you being open about talking about this is going to help someone else who doesn't know how to deal with it, and who
right.
wants to work where I work at or work, anywhere. Because I was like, I don't want to say anything. It's tough being a black person in tech. It's tough being a black person in corporate, when you deal with
Mhm.
micromanaging that feels like microaggression. Let's be real.
Mm.
And so, you know, I don't want to get super live and then like, what's going on, because obviously work at a big company, but um don't let anybody treat you like that. You're important and you have value and you have worth. So just want to say that.
Especially if you've been doing it for a long time and seemingly kind of know what you're doing, how to operate. And you've been doing your job extremely well for a number of years. So, you know what? Shout out to your therapist, first of all.
Yeah.
Amazing advice. I'm always a proponent of being open, communicating, sometimes even over communicating, um, to kind of like, it helps at least to get it out there and at least to express yourself. And you never know, again, who's going through this. You never know to be honest, what solutions that other people may have for the situation. So I always like my thing is like always remain open and talking about these things and just kind of like being able to express yourself also because it does relieve a lot of the stress that comes with it. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing, first of all.
Yeah.
And um, I hope that the situation is remediated in the future as well. So for all parties can seemingly enjoy themselves and do the work that you guys are capable of doing. So that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, thank you for sharing and thank you for being open about this because I know being open is a ooh maybe I think there's a package at my door. Um, again, right? Like imagine. Um, it's definitely an experience and definitely
Yeah. Yeah. I just
yes.
had to bring that up, you know.
Yeah, share it, my guy.
Going through, going through. But listen, uh let's get into this news.
Let's party.
Yeah, let's get into this. Well,
Let's
are we gonna do we have dates? I know we kind of do this on the fly all the time. We do it every single year we do this on the fly. So our year end is gonna be next
next
week
week.
and the week after, right?
Yes, next week. All right, next week, the week after. Will there? And I guess there's going to be a Raw on January 1st.
They're taping
So
up.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we'll be talking about some of that, some of this. I mean, Raw clearly has a bunch of things going on. Going on now. So, pretty cool stuff. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But let's get into this short news week. Maybe a little shorter of an episode, but sure we'll find things to talk about.
I'm sure
Okay,
we'll extend it for some fucking reason because we this is what we do.
listen. CM Punk watch is something I see on my notes, Meelz. Do you want to be strangled or you want to, live your life peacefully for forever? Which one do you want?
What do you mean? All right, you know what? How about this? I put this because I feel like every week you're more enthralled by the CM Punk return. And while we can talk about it, I mean, there's definitely a part to talk about it on SmackDown. I feel like maybe for the free. I mean, maybe we'll do this segment for the free. Hit SmackDown one, and then we'll talk about Raw, on Raw. But how did you feel? First of all, he has a match announced at the Kia Forum,
Mhm,
Inglewood, California.
mhm.
December 30th versus Dirty Dominic Mysterio. First of all, the Kia Forum, Inglewood, California. Sounds very familiar. Sounds very recent.
Very
Um,
vulgarish.
it's a
Speaking
very
of that,
listen.
speaking of that, because I just used the lingo. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to our good friend, my man MC. He just got here on Sunday. He's in LA now. He's an LA boy now. Shout out to him. Had to
Let's. We should. Does he have some sort of housing registry? Does that exist? Can I buy him a toaster?
yeah, you could.
Can I
You
get him
could.
a?
I'll get his address and we can
Okay.
do something nice for him. He's getting his
Hey,
things in order. I'm gonna see him tomorrow. I'm a little fucking busy this week because people want to
as
work.
we are. It,
But
as long as long as Mark is okay. We haven't seen any SOS signals. There's
he's
nothing
okay.
going on. He's fine. All right.
I will
I'm
not
good.
allow him to not be okay, so he's gonna be fine.
Okay.
But
They
shout
broke
out to
into my car.
that's not what happened. He's in a gated community. You know what I mean?
I
Very,
love
very,
that, bro.
very rich things. But listen,
Um,
um, I mentioned this. We recorded something a couple of days ago about CM Punk, and I said that Punk finally gets a chance to do what he said he wanted to do in AEW, and that was help people out and help everyone. And I think that with Dominic Mysterio, you have this opportunity, like a rare opportunity to just kind of take those reins and be like, I'm going to help in this way. And I think this is what they're saying. Dom is Randy Orton to CM Punk in a month span. They see a lot in this kid. But like another thing that's like unspoken here is that there's so many storyline avenues with CM Punk in this company. Dom was a child the last time CM Punk saw him. Rey Mysterio, he has history with. There's so many, and we see this on SmackDown and Raw this week. There's so many avenues. They've set up so many things for CM Punk. It's exciting, honestly. And even just him being in the orbit of all of these things happening is kind of cool in a way that like we never got to see Bret Hart kind of still able to do things in his prime when he came back. And I compare this a lot to that, but like
mm,
having Bret come back and work some of the, and he did work some younger talent. I'm not gonna not be fair there, but he just wasn't kind of the same. You know what I mean? And Punk at least has, you know, a little bit left in his tank where he could still, carry a match or even be carried or help out in that way. And I just think that these types of matchups are kind of amazing. And I see a lot of people that were shocked about him doing matches already. I'm like, he has to do matches. He has to get back into that style. He was working a very different style, for 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, and he has to get back and get that ring rust out.
What's crazy is I don't think he. I mean, I think his style. I don't think his style was really much different here than working over there. I think his style became. I think because of like how old he is now, his style is definitely a lot more WWE in terms of like protecting yourselves. Even though he seemingly got injured all the time in AEW anyway. Um, but either way, this is a net positive for
Yeah,
everybody,
yeah,
especially for the city of Inglewood, apparently.
yeah.
um, but this is amazing. I mean, their holiday tour, it's all again always sell out, and it's like again, this kind of shows the riches that WWE kind of has at this standpoint. Like CM Punk, we don't need. I guess in other situations, it would probably be Cody at the show, and he would be the main attraction of this. But now we have CM Punk. Now we have Cody. Now we have Roman. Now we have all these other people that kind of can come in, swoop in, and do this.
Yeah.
Um, I think CM Punk over the last number of days because he's been moving this week. And I referenced that SmackDown promo because that SmackDown promo felt like the promo that he always, that the people wanted. He
Yeah.
decided, let me give the people what they want this week. Let me give, and we can talk about it a little bit more because he was also featured on NXT. He was also featured on Raw. He's been everywhere this week. So I feel
This
like
is
we
be-
can at
this is
least.
this is best week ever. He reminds me of Offset earlier this year in all his press runs. The only thing we haven't got yet is the interviews, which I hear are coming. So,
I
um,
feel I'm interested. I wanna hear. I don't know whether I'm interested. I need the sit down long form. But
could it
also,
be Ariel Hawani? I don't know.
I
You
mean,
know,
I asked if he was gonna. I mean, he did no Survivor Series thing, so hopefully it is an Ariel Hawani interview. But I'm not sure how, quite frankly, CM Punk feels about Ariel Hawani, which could definitely influence that. But thank you, police of New York City. Um, but um, either way, I think just between that Friday night SmackDown promo where he called out everybody, I feel like that really kind of like set the stage for his. Damn, they are. I'm gonna
what
wait.
the heck?
I'm gonna wait unless they on the block. All right, it seems like they're leaving.
New York, everyone. This is what Keith Lee should respect. New York, everyone. Go ahead.
Either way, no, I thought that Friday promo was tremendous. I thought that really like set the stage. I thought it really kind of like, okay, it felt like okay, you wanted the bad guy, here's the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Here's what I've been through. Imagine, walking backstage and punching people in the face. That was a Kevin Owens shot and a Buck shot.
Yeah.
That
that
was
no one got.
incredible.
That no one got, and this has been talked about to death at this point. We're a couple days removed from this, but
It's new to
listen,
us.
it's not a it's not a net negative that nobody reacted in a sea of comp tickets and veterans. The people who got it. It's for the cheap seats. It was a reference for the cheap seats, but also people aren't even
Damn,
getting the double.
AEW's cheap seats.
Come on now, you've seen Russell Ticks anyway. So but like at the end of the day, it was for us. It wasn't for them. But also, it's the double entendre he pulled off there, Jay-Z like, if you will, of
Mm.
it being what Kevin Owens. And I don't even think that it takes a special kind of showman to connect the dots of those two things, and him being familiar with what Kevin Owens was doing. Punk is a lot more in tune with what's going on than like niggas really know.
He
Like
did
he's been
host
watching.
he did host WWE backstage.
like he's more in tune than we know. So for him to know like the Kevin Owens, and we talked about that last week, building into the Logan Paul match with the broken hand and all that stuff, that all made sense. And I think that again, I was giggling like a fucking early tweener when he was doing that promo on Friday. I was at my friend's house. We were all watching it, listening to it, and they were like, "Yeah, we got to get the Mania because he sold you on that show. He sold you on whatever he's going to be doing. He's going to be bringing that to Philly, and you need to be there to see what the hell is going to go on." And I think that it was like 20 minutes long almost and then I love that he did the hitting the home run because he was like, yeah, I'm back. That was the, yeah, I'm fucking back in this company. Meelz, I want to know how you feel about the placement of CM Punk, what this makes WWE's roster look like what are your feelings about this roster now, nearly a month removed from CM Punk being here and being active on these shows. It's a lot different feel than what he was doing on AEW.
It's weird for me still because I don't truly know his place on the roster, right? Like you can kind of define certain things mid card, upper mid card, lower mid card, main event, or stuff like that. But CM Punk is kind of like in an area of his own, which is returning part time legendary icon who's trying to still really ingratiate himself. I don't think. And what's weird is between Monday, Friday, and NXT, I was legitimately waiting, and it ended up happening on Raw, but it ended up being the wrong person. I was waiting for that one person to really like interrupt CM Punk. Like the honeymoon is over. The reunion, the reunion is over. It's time for business. I was waiting for a Grayson Waller to show up and really get his digs in. I was waiting for I guess a Drew McIntyre on Raw, but I guess it ended up being Seth Rollins to come in and do his thing. I'm waiting to kind of like see more so how does he play with the current roster because we know who his targets are. They're Seth Rollins, there's Roman Reigns. That's kind of what we are for now. Um, I'm interested to see like who does he match up in the ring against. And clearly this week he bumped into Judgment Day. We heard some things, we saw some things. They were moving and grooving. They had a little back and forth exchange of insults and stuff like that. And the result is CM Punk versus Dirty Dom in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So
He's on
um,
Raw. It's only right he got to face a Judgment Day member.
of course, easily. But like what happens when he has to I mean, is there a reality considering his schedule where he faces Sami Zayn in the main event of Monday Night Raw, Shinsuke Nakamura, or a Chad Gable or something along those lines? That's really the questions I want answered. Like how does CM Punk truly because I don't know. I don't think I'm expecting him every week. I don't expect him in Iowa next week,
Mhm.
or else we would have known he'd be in Iowa next week.
Well, it's been pretty last minute with them announcing it. I mean, we knew a week ahead, but like the him being on SmackDown thing was literally like that Friday, I think, right? It was like
No,
they announced
they announced it the week before at Barclays. We were so tight. They announced it on
yeah,
at
that's what I'm saying.
Barclays
They
that
announced
he,
it Friday. They announced it that Friday that he'd be there the next week. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you usually know at least a week in advance if he's going to be there or something. So I'm more interested in kind of like, okay,
We'll know
ho-
Friday when the Raw commercial comes out because usually that's when we know what's going on Raw on SmackDown.
I I feel like if we was going to be in Iowa, we'd know by now. Um,
He's a Raw
but it's
superstar.
interesting. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But um, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Kind of. That's more what I'm interested in is how he fits in the ecosystem of WWE because it doesn't. I'm not seeing it right now, other than the main event programs.
Mhm.
Um, and it was something that I think Cody really, really did in a very interesting way. His first match was on, I think it's like the Raw after Mania, and he fights The Miz. And
Yeah.
I think that really kind of like set the stone on like, oh, okay, he's here to work. He's here to do it every week, and he can work with kind of like
He's here to
everybody.
work. He's here to work. Go to hell.
What do you mean?
He's here to work. Working the
Cody wasn't
Miz.
there to work?
Look at this
But
guy. Y'all see this guy? Y'all see how he
the CM
works?
Punk, not everyone comes back immediately and works the Miz. I'm
Hey
looking
man,
more so towards the edges and the CM Punks and all these other things. Like that's what I'm trying to differentiate. Is he more like an edge guy who's going to be here every couple months, or is he going to be like more like I don't know? Is he going to be here every couple weeks? or something along
Mhm.
those lines. That's what I'm trying to kind of like figure out, but I'm not fully sure yet. But I would love to see him. I mean, Dirty Dom is cool. I would love to see him against Grayson Waller. I would love to see him against a lot of people, Jay Uso, Jimmy Uso, a couple people
JD
on that
McDonald,
show, but
JD McDonald would
JD
be a
Mc,
good one.
JD McDonough would be a good one. Um, I want to see him at the B pay per views. I would love to see him at a Backlash. I would love to see him at a a Clash of Champions, shit like that. Like I don't
Yeah.
want CM Punk to just be the attraction because he pops a number and and it makes him special. Because to be honest with you, I feel like
They don't need to do that in WWE though. So I feel
yeah,
like
well,
that I feel like that concern, I hear it, but I feel like it's kind of unwarranted because they don't do that for anybody. You know what I mean? Like
what do you
I
mean?
think that they don't treat anybody like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that they're like fully aware of the um the position that they're in terms of just like what they have with CM Punk. I just think that I just don't think that they'll pull that type of like, oh, CM Punk speaks. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's nothing for him to do, he's not gonna be there. And realistically, if he's not in Iowa, we understand that because they could just play video packages of that, that promo that we're gonna talk about a little later with him and Seth Rollins. Like they don't have to do anything like that. But I think that just like, and when I say like the fear is unwarranted, I mean like AEW would do that, and we know exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna just put him on whatever fucking show they have that week, right? With WWE,
Mhm.
it's like they know he's gonna pop a rating, but they also have other people that pop ratings. You know what I mean? Like they like if they do like a, instead of a 1-8, they do a 1-5 the next week. They're not tripping about that. They like I think I'm just saying they're not gonna panic book CM Punk into a corner here. Like I think they're gonna be very methodical, and I think the last 3 weeks of trying to figure out where he's gonna land has been good in that sense. But I don't think they're gonna just throw him somewhere where it's like it's because like honestly, Meelz, he needs a warm up match. Like
Right.
Cody
No,
needed
no,
to
no.
establish himself.
I don't think my fear was any kind of panic booking. My fear is more so like how do we from a standpoint of understanding CM Punk, how does he fit in the roster? Is he someone, I don't think he's someone where it's like like an Edge, for instance, where it's like it's only special if you come back every couple of months. I think he should actually be a freaking part of the show. Now, he can't do it every week, nor it's probably not in his contract, and he's afforded to do such. But there's a I do think we see him featured a lot more on the show because I think that's what his character kind of like, it's still, he's not larger than life. It's still like every man kind of thing with Punk.
Yeah,
So to present him in a larger than life kind of way would be so weird as opposed to like CM Punk, he's a working man, he's from Chicago, he does this thing every week. So my fear isn't necessarily like, oh, they're gonna panic book him in a corner or anything. My fear is just like, how are we, well, I don't even have a fear. It's more so like I'm under trying to understand like how are they going to use him every week. That's it.
mhm. I think they'll I think we'll be surprised. I do like what they've done in terms of what you say of him like being in the show, being a part of the show. They've had him interacting with everybody. You know what I mean? And I think that's really cool. And I think that, one thing that like that I think a lot of people within the chat and even on Warport, they talk about like on AEW, once you have your one segment, you have your one segment and you leave. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like with Punk, he's having multiple segments, talking to multiple people, and he's not just done after 1 week or one segment. He's through a lot of separate segments, and there's still people he hasn't seen yet or met. You know what I mean? And I think that if the next few weeks is him just getting acclimated with the young people that are on the show now, I think that's pretty good TV. If you ask me,
I think so as well. I'm not sure. I don't think we'll see him for the rest of the year, but he's definitely is.
I think so.
Um,
I think so.
let's see. What else do we have in the news docket this week?
MLW WWE settlement.
How did that
What are
go?
your thoughts?
How did
What
that
are your
go?
thoughts there? Hey man, listen. I just want to say the MLW is moving so crazy. These some crazy motherfuckers. They moving crazy. All right.
2 years ago, MLW initially filed its antitrust lawsuit against WWE. In its litigation, MLW alleged that WWE had pressured third parties into abandoning their deals with MLW, most notably Vice TV and Tubi. But after all the legal rambling, things look to be headed towards a settlement of some sort, according to Wrestling Inc. Um,
So essentially, they said that WWE trying to block them from getting on different
yeah, yeah,
streaming platforms, right? So if that were to be true, I think a lot of that kind of like goes to the wayside once you realize that. I mean, essentially, WWE is on CW now, so it shows like there's no monopoly. Like they're in a company that you know MLW realistically could have negotiated for, right?
no, absolutely. Um, Even the fact that it was announced this week, Impact TNA um, has a new streaming deal for, I guess, TNA Plus,
Mhm.
um, and it's with, is it with Endeavor? Am I bugging?
Yeah, it's with Endeavor.
I think that kind of
Endeavor
like, go ahead.
Endeavor opening up the checkbook, saying, we'll work with anybody. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that's good. That's good money. That's good money to me.
And I think, I don't know if anything, but the merger has anything to do with the settlement. Maybe they're like, actually, um, but it's over. Um, It says the settlement ends a saga that featured numerous twists and turns, including a judge at one point dismissing the lawsuit in February 2023, following MLW filing an amended version of the suit just 1 month later. This time it stuck, with a judge later denying WWE's motion to dismiss this lawsuit in late spring. The terms of the settlement has not been disclosed as of yet. No one from MLW or WWE has noted on the matter. So I mean, settle. Go find go find some television or something. You know,
Mhm.
everybody seems to be finding television these days. You know what I'm saying? Um, Everybody is making their bread how they gonna make their bread. So that's all I can kind of say. I'm more.
MLW got to figure it out. They got to figure it out. It's
Well,
looking spooky.
speaking of trying to figure it out, and speaking of looking spooky,
Mm, I know what you're talking about.
mm,
There was a tweet. There
I,
was a tweet today.
I mean, there's been tweets multiple days. I'm more. I've been. This kind of was spurred on a discussion that I saw Eric Bischoff have,
Mm,
and Eric Bischoff is essentially like, I don't even know what they're doing with ROH, bro. Like,
right.
what are they even doing? He says he literally. I'm trying to get the verbatim, but also getting ad blockers at the same time. Um, he says verbatim, it was a bad decision to buy ROH in the first place, and there's nothing anybody is going to do to make it interesting or important outside of the hardest of hardcore internet wrestling community fans. That's it. There's no solution. If it was a horse, I would put it out its misery and move on. I would take the resources that are going into Ring of Honor, which is never going to be viable ever, and I would take those resources that are being dumped to it and put in my core product, i.e., Dynamite. And he calls the ROH a giant freaking parasite on the AEW brand. Um, let's talk about ROH because Final Battle is, if you didn't know, which
Yeah.
I could see why you wouldn't. Um, Final Battle is this weekend. Uh, According to Russell Ticks, it's not selling well, as one would expect by something that's not on television and not promoted on the actual brand that has the television.
Mm.
Um, it's not selling well. Um, what are your kind of I don't want to ask your current thoughts on ROH because you do not watch that show, and neither do I. Um, what would be all right? Let's say you bought ROH. That's a better question. This is a more fun question.
Uh-huh.
If you bought ROH, what would you have done with said ROH?
Uh,
And don't immediately say, because I feel like if it was Cyrus answering it, he'd be like, "I would have sold that bitch." Um,
I mean, I would have. I really would have. I would have just sold it. Why am I keeping it? Why are we keeping this? What is the point of keeping this thing that brings us no joy, gives us no money, gives us no hoes?
I feel like ROH. All right, so since ROH was sold, we've had this big question mark like, what is AEW planning to do with ROH? And everyone and their mother told us, oh my God, it's going to be like a brand and people will go over and wrestle on there and people are able to revitalize their lives. And we saw Chris Jericho become an ROH champion and Cesaro become an ROH champion. And then the guy who gave up his belt to become an ROH champion. I actually do not know who's ROH champion right now.
Uh-huh.
I feel like there's been a lot put into this brand in terms of time and money spent that I think there is no return on. And that doesn't mean that they should immediately go away from it. But I think the reason why they should go away from it is because it has literally no value. It has nothing. People don't come to shows to watch the ROH thing. People and you rarely even know what's going on with ROH in this instance. Tony Khan had, Tony Khan is currently, or at least earlier today, had a call, and the first thing that was said in our Discord is like, "What is he promoting? What's
Yeah,
going
I
on?"
had no clue why people were interviewing him today. I was like, "What
and,
what happened?"
and they said ROH Final Battle is this weekend, and he's doing a press call or something along those lines, for the show. And to be honest with you, I don't know. The question seemed to you follow Sean Ross Sapp, who's following these things. The question ended 47 minutes ago, and there's only 4 tweets about it. So possibly he got cut off. Possibly everyone found better things to do. Not fully sure.
I hope so.
Um, Tony Khan, according to Sean Ross Sapp, Tony Khan tells me he values AEW ROH and the library being able to be shot together. He says he has a lot of interested parties in ROH. He hasn't gone into detailed talks, but CW did visit with them last year. Khan did not feel like the timing was right.
Mm,
I think the major thing that is stopping, well, there's a number of major things stopping ROH from being a thing. One, it was already not successful going into its demise a number of years ago. So the
it's
fact that,
why it went into demise.
yeah, right, that's just it. You know what I'm saying? Um, I think they had notable talent, but I think a lot of ROH, especially 2021 and prior, was resting on the name ROH. ROH was a very popular brand in mid 2000, mid aughts. It pretty much produced a lot of the top stars that we see in the industry today. A lot of stars have gone through ROH. At that point, it really had a nice underground buzz to it. Um, Now, I mean, I think it swings at being a major third company in that time, and all of them not being successful um, at the end of the day have really made it's really ruined the momentum of the company, which led to it being in a situation it is now. AEW, Tony Khan decided he wanted to buy ROH. Some people say he just didn't want Vince to have the tapes. Who knows, right? Um,
I believe that.
but he buys ROH, revitalizes the brand, and I say revitalize in definition only, not like spirit or anything or excitement or anything. He revitalizes the brand, says we're going to put it on Honor Club. We're going to start Honor Club. Pay $10 a month if you want to watch these people that you'll never be able to see anywhere else. And now you have about 40 to 50 people stuck in purgatory on a show that no one else watches. Um, for a show that's coming up this weekend, and I feel it's so weird for me to see. Like, I think the we talked about this in the Discord, but the business part of the wrestling business is lost in this instance, and it's losing by a lot.
Yeah,
um the fact that there is no branding put into ROH, no attraction put into ROH, no time put into ROH.
no
there
hoes.
there's that too. They're tacked on at the end of whatever taping for whatever show you actually do want to go see, except Collision.
Everyone
Which,
wants to see Collision. Come on now.
yeah, I mean, at this point, no one's going to Collision, so no one's definitely sticking around for ROH. it's a brand that I feel like people made fun of NXT for rebranding themselves as 2.0, but it was a necessary step in order to introduce this new landscape to audience and say like, listen, it's going to be different now. And I think
Mhm.
that was a major part of why ultimately NXT is now booming this year and it's the most successful it's ever been because they took the time and said we got to rebrand this, we got to restructure this, lights, everything. We're going to make it feel different and we're going to give you different people on the show that are attraction to the show and they immediately say like, "Hey, this person's important. This person is important." ROH has not done that at all.
Mhm.
Even in a sense, it may look the flashiest it's ever been because they're running on the same stage as AEW shows. But by there's going to be a lot of disingenuous ranking of R. Well, actually, only on one ROH person, Athena. Um, there's going to be a lot of disingenuous ranking of ROH thing, and I'm going to question it because no one watches this show, and you couldn't tell me that anyone watches this show because I see a lot of wrestling on my timeline. I never see ROH. And shout out to Athena and Billy Starks for main eventing the show, the one program they seemingly have going on there, other than Keith Lee dressing up like a fucking genie. Um,
Yeah.
but there's nothing going on with this show. And to be honest, it could be a better use is if Athena is as great as everyone says she is. Apparently, the only person who's not deciding to put their fucking glasses on to see this is Tony Khan himself. Because why is she still on ROH? If she's as talented on and the female roster on the actual notable brand is as popping enough, why isn't she featured on AEW?
You know why? Because women don't get the results that he wants. You know why she's not on the show.
But
It's not a shock. It's not a revelation. It's not a big deal to him to do that. It's a vanity project. I think Quan said it best a couple of days on our Discord. It's not hurting anybody. So why not? Like, why not have it up there? Fuck it. You know what I mean? Like it's there. It's collecting steam. It's just doing what it does. You know what I mean? I think ultimately when you look at the things that Tony Khan does and he cares about, that is the shit that he cares about. And that's what he's always cared about is foolishness. So
it feels like an ant farm. You ever had an ant farm as a kid? The thing
no.
with the sand, the thing with the sand that either they had it in your classroom or something and they'd put ants in it and you'd watch ants burrow through and like, oh my god, the ant is there and it'll go through all this other stuff. It used to be in my classroom as a kid. Don't,
uh,
that's what ROH feels like to me. It feels like
the world's most
something.
expensive ant farm.
There you go. Where we don't see anyone. I mean, there are people who come from ROH allegedly. They'll always say like this person is ROH champion, and I just got to take your word for it because I'm not watching the show. I think ROH. I think I can't say WWE would have done anything with it, but it was probably the right decision not to do anything with it. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, WWE revitalized a ECW, and that was a bad decision. And quite frankly, they made more money off ECW being dead than probably ECW being alive.
Yeah, which is sad to
It's
think about.
super sad, but that's the reality of the situation. ROH is a legacy brand.
Mhm.
ROH is not in any way, it was progressive at the time, but it's certainly not progressive now. And I don't mean progressive in terms of like ideals and stuff. I just mean how they, what their approach to pro wrestling is. Um, in 2023, if you're going to start a new promotion, if you're going to do something new, you need to change the game in a very original way. ROH just doesn't do that.
Mm.
And I'm so confused about why it's still there and why 60 people are apparently signed to ROH contracts. I have no idea how much they pay over there.
Nothing. Come on,
Like,
you know how much they
and we'll
pay.
never hear how much they pay over there because anytime someone gets released, they're put on the NBA lock. Oh my god, we have to talk about. I didn't put this on the thing, but we got to talk about the Gotel lock that you said. Oh my god, that had me in stitches for years.
Listen, man, Danielson, what a disappointing person, right? Right? Can we just go there? Can we go
It,
there?
we, I feel, I think his decisions are disappointing. As a person, I think he's trying to do what's best for the company that he loves and seemingly has an investment in. But I also think his actions have been disappointing in that, again, not sure why he's doing this for a. I'm not sure why he's doing this at all. Like,
You know why?
Brian Danielson, I mean,
You know why?
it's rumored this week that as part of the disciplinary committee, he's out here giving fines for people who violate any social media thing that they have enacted, their edict that they've enacted, which is
Yeah.
no complaining about the brand on social media. Only good tweets. Only I love AEW and the cooking. I I love AEW. I wish I was working here more. But if you question your own booking in this situation, apparently can't do that. Get
Mm-mm.
fined.
Yeah.
So we've seen multiple tweets over the last number of days. You're like, oh, that was a tweet before. Now it's deleted. Huh.
Officer Danielson. Remember Officer Ricky? The Rick Ross shit? Officer Danielson.
I
What a disappointing guy. Listen, no one who wrestles right next to you should be in charge of the shit that you do. Not especially like not now, especially not in like such a soft ass locker room. Like I know a lot of people love like the old days and shit like that, but like nah, it shouldn't be like that. Like Brian
but
Danielson shouldn't be the guy who got one eyeball hanging out shouldn't be the guy telling you you can't tweet your booty on Twitter, bro. Like you
right.
can't be the guy, you know?
I think it's such just like a major conflict of interest it being an active wrestler who works alongside different people. Like I feel like Brian Danielson is putting himself in a shitty situation because at any point they could be noted. At any point anyone could report some sort of issue that they had with Brian in the past that could affect any decision that they make in the future and suddenly they have a lawsuit.
Mhm.
Like to me, they're like, "Oh my god, Brian is the great guy for this." There
Is
should be
he?
no he's
There should
there
be a
should be no
professional.
guys. That's what I'm saying. People are like, "Oh, we need someone in," and I'm like, "Bro, Triple H didn't start making decisions until he was pretty much out of the damn company. He wasn't an active wrestler anymore."
Well, I don't know about that, meal. Let's be clear. I mean, Montreal,
Well,
anyone?
well, he wasn't giving out fines. I tell you that.
I ain't gonna go that far. I'm not gonna go that far. Triple H was doing some wild shit,
He
but
wasn't giving out no fines. He was
I feel
part of
you.
the
No,
creative
listen,
team. I could see him being as part of the creative team.
I feel
Brian
you.
is part of the creative team.
I feel you. I feel. I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that he did some wild shit. He did some wild shit too. You know, that's all I'm saying.
Okay,
But listen here. Listen to me. A tweet came out today with Dave Meltzer
sure.
at around 10:54 a.m. Eastern.
Eastern.
Yeah, 10:54. Right,
Okay.
10:54 a.m. Uh, things are changing greatly. Let's just say things changed greatly with Raw negotiations from a few weeks ago, and Punk is a huge part of the selling point.
154 Eastern, my guy.
Oh, I thought it was like 1 for y'all, but 10 for me.
You be good.
It's
You've got a
actually one
long
o'clock
day.
for me now. It's 1 o'clock for me now.
Right.
We're doing
It's
the show
four.
later. We're doing the
It's
show
4
later.
o'clock for me now. Let's.
Whatever. Whatever.
It's a long. It's been a long day.
What do you
Um.
think this means, Millsy? What does this mean? What does this mean? What does it mean, bro?
It means CM Punk is the guy who he said he is. Is he one Bill Phil indeed?
What
That's
does
what
it
they're making
mean?
it sound like.
What does it mean for CM Punk if he's such a big deal for the TV rights deal that he potentially uh they potentially juke this and ruined it, and that's not good, right?
Well,
That's
every comment is saying that it looks like they're in the WBD, Warner Brother Discovery sweepstakes. That's what every comment is saying. It says it looks like maybe Warner Brother Discovery has some interest in Monday Night Raw. That's what the comments are saying. That's what the
right,
world is saying. That's what
right.
that's what the one Bill Phils, they're booming in the comments.
That's
A lot of David
if
a lot of
if
David
if
Zaslav talk.
if this happens, Neil, what are we gonna do now that we found love?
The
What are we gonna do?
Well, the first thing I would do is find a chair immediately because clearly I wouldn't be able to stand up on my own 2 feet from just being doubled over in laughter. Um,
Right.
I wouldn't even know what anymore. It would be clear, like not only just. I feel like Tony Khan will tweet that they try to kill him as well. Like not only did they try to kill my family, but they try to kill me as well. What would be your reaction to this?
My reaction, if WB manages to take Raw. Yeah, and you know what's crazy is that we knew he was going on Raw, but no one ever questioned it, right? And I think if this happens, I'll say the same thing: is that like, why do we not question that it had to be Raw? Like, it's not just because of Seth. He could fight Seth however he wants to fight Seth. They can make up. It's wrestling. They can make up rules whenever they want to. Meelz. You don't have to fight Seth. But why didn't we question why it would be Raw, the only show that did not have a deal yet that would get CM Punk, if they weren't having conversations with companies that may or may not be WBD? You feel what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm putting down
I'm
here?
picking up what you're putting down. I'm picking up what you're putting down a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, why didn't we question it? Why didn't anybody question it? I think is the biggest
because
question. Is
first of all, we didn't. We just assumed, in my opinion, I assumed for a long time that he was going to be um, a free agent able to kind of float between both brands. But it wasn't until sometime it was announced a week before he was going to be on SmackDown, but they never announced until the Raw before that he was going to be choosing the brand that he was going to be on. Now, because he chose Monday Night Raw, I think that makes things a lot more interesting. And I think actually that's probably what popped into Meltzer's head when he came up this entire situation. It was
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm hearing more WBD. Oh, he's on Raw exclusively. Oh, word?
why
Interesting.
did why didn't no one? Because when I see that tweet, I'm like, why didn't nobody think about that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, why didn't you think about this? Because clearly I had no idea.
I I don't know. Why did they do that? Why would they do that? You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of those,
You were
you
having a
know,
Brian Windhorse moment?
yes. That is the exact moment I'm talking about. Like, why would they do that? This is just delicious foolery, and it's ripe for just bad things happening. You know what I'm saying? Just all around. I
Mm,
think that we can't speculate too much, Mills, because honestly, like nothing has happened yet. You know,
right.
but ultimately, if it is the truth, and
Because we've also seen them speculate on Saudi Arabia and all this other extra shit that never
you're
happened
right,
either.
you're right, you're right, you're right. I mean, we have a lot of conversations in our Discord. If you're not a member of our Discord, please join that as well. I mean, we're clearly just trying to like
The
we're
price is what it is, and the price ain't ever changing. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
we're jumping around the point here on purpose so as not to you know say anything
just,
that we shouldn't say. But
just.
just know,
We just no. We're watching out. We're looking out.
yes, We are
But
indeed looking
Meltzer tweet is very interesting. Um, but again, these things have happened. People have said things on Twitter. People have said a lot of things, and we don't know actually anything that's going to happen yet. But um, it would be if Raw landed on WBD, if Raw landed on TBS or TNT. First of all, that shit would be weird. Um, and they might have to like buy Sting's contract. Sting's back. Um, your
Mr.
kid
Negative.
never retired. Yeah, right. Booker T's, commentating on Monday Night Raw. um, but again, so interesting. Lots of interesting thing happened. Speaking of interesting things, one interesting event happened over this weekend. We call it NXT Deadline.
Mhm.
Um, my friend, NXT Deadline. When did you get to see it?
I
How
saw
did
it that
you?
I saw it later that night. So,
Okay.
yep.
Did anything pop out to you? Anything stand out to you? I'm sure they're going to do the big review this week on the War Report. Juan and Cyrus always hold us down. Um, well, what popped out to you on this pay per view?
Punk was drunk. Um,
Drunk with what? Pepsi?
yeah, it
Big
had to
old
be.
drink.
Trick is a star, but we knew that already.
Okay, of
Um,
course, of course.
big fan of the way that they did the women's Iron Survivor match. I think that everyone involved should be very proud of the work that they did on that match.
I agree.
Just,
I think
just
they've learned a lot from the previous Iron Survivor match.
yes, they have, and I think that we don't put enough of a premium on how well NXT does these types of things with their women.
Hmm.
It almost becomes like it's just people are just tired of hearing it. You know what I mean? Like people just like, okay, we get it. You love them. You know what I'm saying? Like people just don't want to hear it anymore. I get it. I understand. It is frustrating, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like they really put a premium on their women's division, and it honestly really shows. And the show was just like a fantastic kind of look into how they pull that type of stuff off. So kudos to everybody involved. I think that they just made everybody look like fucking stars on that show. So it was
Can
great.
I can I can I tell you my thoughts on NXT Deadline? My overarching thoughts.
What are your overarching thoughts, Meelz?
Well, like you said, Trick Williams is a star. Um, that's last. I think that men's Iron Survivor Challenge match, you could show it to a non wrestling fan and they'd understand it and pick it up all the way. That's
Yeah.
how I think. That's how good it was. Um, I feel like Lash Legend finally looked like the Lash Legend, and it's all starting to click and make sense for her. Um, I think she was always a big, like, domineering thing, but I think now, with years of experience under her belt, and I think a lot of humility, because after that first kind of like really legend run with the Nikita line, she wasn't really like the focus of anything in the women's division.
Mhm.
Um, but I think now that they've taken her a step back, they've developed her, they put her in a role where she can, succeed. Now is the opportunity to put her in a big spot, kind of like this. Um, Lexus King still needs work in the ring. I think it's going to be like at least a year before he's like even passable to me.
Damn.
He stinks. No offense, but
Oh, the match was
I
good.
feel I feel like I I blame solely Carmelo Hayes on that. And it's crazy for me saying that because I feel like even 7 months ago I would have said Carmelo Hayes, he doesn't know how to be in this situation, bring up a kind of star doing this, but he has rose to the occasion over the last number of months. I think Alexis King still very green, lots of opportunity, lots of charisma, lots of riz, as the kids would say.
I mean, look at
Um,
where he came from. You know what I mean? Look at where he
right.
came from. I think that it just shows more than anything that like a lot of those people need that development time.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need that, and I didn't think it was bad. I thought that Mello did a serviceable job as the ring general here.
And
Um,
and another take I have, you're not gonna like this one. I know you're not gonna like it.
why not? Why won't I like this take? Chat me up. Why won't I like
I
this take?
I feel like Dragon Lee isn't that guy.
Why not?
I just feel like the people aren't. There's no. I don't think there's any genuine connection behind him or anything that makes him really interesting or pop off the screen.
Okay.
Especially when he's standing next to Rey Mysterio and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. I don't think there's anything kind of a. I feel like in any other situation, if you put a Carmelo Hayes, why is Akron, Ohio calling me? Is that Braun? Um, but I feel like when you put Trick Williams in this position a number of months ago with the same result, with the same people involved, I think it showed like, yo, he's that guy.
Mhm.
And I think Dragon Lee, who's been on the main roster and had these astounding matches, is just I the luster, the shine isn't there for me. It's still very, very dim. I would like to see how he really ingratiates himself, but it can't just be mass guy in the ring who does lots of great moves and that kind of like really be it.
To be fair, I
Um,
mean, it'd be getting over.
I don't know. I don't think
Uh,
it's over.
It is over. I mean, you heard it on SmackDown, the Axiom match. You heard it, you saw it. Cedric Alexander match. I mean, it be working.
I mean, people are I think people are entertained by the highlights and the things in the ring, but I don't think as a character he's over.
We'll see. I'm gonna wait and see.
Okay.
I'm not calling it for him yet. I'm gonna wait and see. I think the kid's good. He's a good kid.
And I think he's good in the ring. I just, I haven't seen the stuff that supersedes any of the other stuff yet. But
You
and
sounding a
then
little
I'll
you sounding a little cornetish. I'll say that much.
why would I sound that? This is literally these are literally my thoughts. I don't feel anything when he's in the ring.
Sounding a
And the
little
match
cornetish. It's
ended.
okay. It's okay. You sound a little
What do you
cornetish.
no 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 because you're gonna do this, you're gonna try to turn it on me like I'm the hater when it's not the hater. Literally,
It's a
I
little,
think people are forcing feeling this thing when it's not really actually working.
it's a little
And
cornetish. You're a little cornetish.
I feel like everyone is trying to buy into something that's currently very, very it's still in the very prototype stages and people are telling me it's great and it's not that much. Um my final thing is that I think Ilya Dragunov is going to be the biggest. I think he's going to main event of WrestleMania at this point.
Mm, I like that. I think I can see that. I can see that happening.
I could see that as
I think Ilya has genuine connection with that crowd
I think
in a
so
way
as
that
well.
other people don't. I think that's something that people aren't truthfully kind of noticing or seeing it right now. But I think he's got a legitimate connection with those people, and yeah, I agree.
I think so as well. Um, that was NXT Deadline. It was a great show. I recommend everyone go and watch the Iron Survivor matches, and I guess you can watch Dragon Lee also win as well. Um,
I think him and Dom don't have great chemistry though. They've had one good match out of like the 15 in the last year.
mm,
That's my
damn,
take.
can't have a good match with Dom. I don't. Damn, don't know
I
about
thought
the kid.
I thought Dom looked good against Randy, but I mean it's Randy Orton. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was our take on all that.
I feel like what we can do right here now is we can transition to Patreon, which we're going to talk about Friday Night SmackDown and everything that
Yes,
happened there, and Monday Night Raw with CM Punk signing things, Shinsuke Nakamura spitting things,
that didn't sound right.
Rhea Ripley picking things up and putting things down. You
Simple
know what?
concept.
Shout out to Maxine, but goddamn, goddamn.
We'll talk.
Even the screenshot on YouTube don't look good.
That shit had me pissing myself this morning. I was like, "Yo, come on, man! Don't have her out there looking like that, bro."
Oh my god. Let's head into Patreon. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Want to thank everybody for listening and staying tuned with us. The A Show, bigcartel.com. Buy the new t-shirts. The t-shirts have safely arrived. I'm still waiting for the other part before I send everything out, but I'm hoping to send everything out before Christmas. Um Want to thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe on our YouTube as well. YouTube, we'll be dropping the top 20 moments of 2023. The A list is back this week. And actually, by the time this goes up on public, you will see this because it is starting on Wednesday. And we got a
Fire.
lot to talk about it. We got a lot of talking heads. So shout out to everyone who is involved. Um, and yeah, man, thank you guys for tuning in. Um, and we'll see you guys next week with the best and the worst
The
of
best
wrestling this year.
the best of times and the worst of times, yeah.
Yeah, that'll absolutely be it. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.